come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really excited to be here today, giving God thanks for another day, another opportunity to hang out with my villagers, hanging out with my peoples, spending a nice, beautiful Thursday afternoon. Welcome our villager, welcome our executive producer, Andre Doman. I'm gonna start calling you co-host too, Andre, adding that to your title. And, to our illustrious senator, our illustrious Dr. John L. Sampson, who's joining us. Our producer, Sophia Willis, is in the background. On the ones and twos, she's in the background. And also to our co-hostess, Dr. Bryant, when she gets here. And so thank you everyone for watching, viewing, sharing, participating on the Village Radio Talk Show, where we are dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today, where success is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful? Before I even say hello to you guys, I just want to take a moment. Two tragic things happened to me this week. Three. I got the sad news yesterday. I don't know if you know who she is, John, but she was a staunch person in Community Board 17, Audlin Gallimore. Just found out, they came home and they found her dead in her house. That was very shocking right here in our local district. One that I represented, one that you represented for a while, part of it. So that was, it hurts a lot to know about that. And then one of my trench fighters, Sophia Bingham, suffering from breast cancer. One of my domino peoples, she was there, supportive, 55 years old. And it's when I found out the news on Tuesday, I don't even know I was floored. Floored. She you know, she had a hard fight. And so, you know, those two tragedies hit me very hard. I also have another funeral in Queens on the same, two funerals on the same day. I don't know if you remember Donovan Richards, John. He used to be the
Yeah.
photographer. He used to go around and take all the pictures and everything like that.
Donovan Gopi.
Donovan Gopi. I don't know why I keep saying Donovan Richards, but yeah, Donovan Gopi. I don't know why I keep saying that, but Donovan Richards is the bar president in Queens, but Donovan Gopi, and they're going to do a memorial for him next Saturday out there in Queens at First Baptist, Springfield. So I'm going to see if I could try to make my...
Yeah, let me know. Donovan's a good brother.
Yeah,
and Miss Gallimore just passed it home.
Yeah, she just passed it home. Yeah.
I know she was always fighting for her son, making sure her son was taken care of all the time.
Yep. She's a hard
Let me know
fighter.
about her arrangements. She's a very, always, Mr. Sampson, Miss Gallimore.
Yeah, so what's going on? What's going on, everybody? And happy birthday to everybody out there, right? Everybody, my niece, my friend Corey, happy birthday to the likes. We might not be able to get that done at the end of the show. So happy birthday to all of the Libras at the beginning start of the year for Libra. Love it all. Andre, start with you. How you doing?
Great. Gratitude, peace. Always got to be thankful. It's been a good day. So I'm great.
What's up, my cousin Dexter? Welcome.
You know, how's everybody else doing? I mean, just talk about it. So, but, you know, all is good.
It's good for you, man. You didn't have to work today, Andre. You're all right.
And all the other teachers, them too. So, you know, blessings to us.
I guess that's why Dr. Bryant's not here. She had a day off, huh?
Yeah.
Full day off. Yeah. Oh, by the way, you know, we're gonna leave it up to Dr. Bryant to talk about it if she wants to talk about it when she gets on the air. But make sure we send up our prayers for her family. You know, they're dealing with some family issues now that we just got to pray and hope, pray and continue their prayers. Just everybody just stretch your hands towards her and her family and just read a word of prayer and wish them well and making sure everything's okay. So if she gets on and she wants to talk about it, but we know Dr. Bryant, right? She gives you that smile and then she shuts down. So let's hope today it's just one of those days that she just says, okay, I'll do it. Andre, where we start today?
Stuff regarding Secretary. Secretary Hegseth announces big policy changes for U.S. military.
Andre, who want to talk about the military? Government shut down. The government shut down.
Government shut down. Then what y'all think? I mean,
you guys are the boss.
That means our military is not getting paid.
That too.
However, the legislators get paid, including the president. So what type of nonsense is that? We, the people, suffer the impact of that, and the government officials who shut it down still get their salaries. Ain't that some shit, man?
The language. It is problematic. I mean, there'll be what do you call it, retroactive, but it's problematic because you need it right now too. So people are depending on
I can't tell my landlord my rent due today. Government shut down. I can't pay your rent.
Yeah,
You're like,
John,
I'm sorry.
John, you know
I'm gonna shut off the heat.
you know what's the good and the bad of that conversation?
What?
We remind people to have 3 months savings in your account.
That's true.
This is one of those moments where you try not to live from paycheck to paycheck. One of those moments. I'm not, by the way, by me saying that, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that they need to shut down the government and you don't get paid. Please do not take my statement to mean that, right? It means for that for all life situations. You try to have about 3 months of salary that you can work from in case of emergency. That's all the point is, not about, you know, it is hogwash, right? It is hogwash, period. And this is the fact that Trump is talking about it, John, as an opportunity to get rid of some democratic programs. That's how we look at it, the government shutdown, an opportunity to get rid of some democratic policies. Ain't that a blimp? You use
You know, we can say it's a blip all we want to, but he's elected. He became president because of our apathy at the polls. We did not go out and vote. We did not go out and support. And that goes all the way back to when he ran the first time against Hillary Clinton. So, you know, as Obama said, election has consequences. So these are the consequences of this election in 2024.
Yeah, but John, you are president of the United States, and you just took the mishap of the government. And by the way, the longest shutdown was during his first tenure.
Right.
Right. 35 days. Right. And you're looking at the shutdown as an opportunity for you to be absolutely bipartisan. Right? That's a strong statement, right? And you verbalizing this, right? Just like what he said to Chuck Schumer, right? Where he said, let me see if I can find the quote. Hold on a second. Right? Let me see if I can find it. Let me look back. And you go ahead and talk while I look back in one of my chats, but I know it's here.
Said what?
Now I'm going to tell you. I mean, you can still talk about the government shutdown in a minute. I'm looking for it. It's one of my chats.
I mean, but you know, my whole point was the Democrats need to try to control the narrative, because the narrative Republicans are saying is that we shut down the budgets because we're trying to shut down government because we're trying to give insurance to illegal immigrants.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think would come of this? Do you think? Because I always look at it as like if the Democrats them stand their ground too long, would that be negative for the people, or would it be? My question is like, how long do you think the Democrats will go along with this, or will they eventually?
I mean, I would go on as long as it's possible until there's some negotiation. They're saying, oh, you could pass the extender, straightforward extender until what's the difference between now and in 6 weeks? What's going to be the difference? Like, why would I communicate with you? You stop the government like you did. You get cold feet, and therefore, I can get what I want. No, not at all. You got to stand your ground, man. Stand your ground. If you believe in, this is preference over principle. If this is your principle, choice, so you're talking about the cost of healthcare rising to the point where it's totally unaffordable and people will not have healthcare, you got to stick to your guns. This is not a preference where you can be all over the place. Oh, no. If this is your principal position, stand up for it. Suffer the consequences. Deal with the people. And from what I've seen, from the American people want to see fighters. That's what they love about Trump so much, because he pushes back, he fights them. But they need to do the same thing to him with respect to this.
So, but if they go on too long, do you think it would hurt the people, or that's not going to happen? Well,
it's about communicating with the people and let the people know what's going on. It's at that point in time, the people have to make sacrifices. And if they can no longer make the sacrifices, then at that point in time, you listen to your constituents. If your constituents are putting you to the point where, hey, you need to ease up on this, then you got to go with it. Then you're listening to the people. Listen to what the people want. Right now, what the people want them is to shut down the government until they deal with this issue.
Yeah.
I think, like always, I didn't find it, but I think, like always, they're making a one issue piece, right? And the Republicans and people have not learned their lesson, where the Democrats made transgender in sports
Mm-hmm.
such a major issue that outright cost them the election,
Mm-hmm.
right, in 2024.
Right.
And if they can't pivot from this convo, they're going to lose this battle too. And not only will they lose this battle, it will surmise to losing a war, right? And that to me is a problem. So not only do the Democrats have to stick to their guns, but they got to stick to the issues.
Yeah.
Right? Stick to those things. Stick to the fact that hundreds of thousands of Americans are losing money.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of thousands. TSA, that means that travelers, the average American, right? You now have to spend more time going to the airport. That means that you're losing time with your family, right? So a domestic trip that you can get to the airport within 2 hours, right? Within 1 to 2 hours to be okay. Now for a domestic trip, you're going 3 to 4 hours. We're not even talking about missed flights and delays and all the other stuff. That's just one example. You understand? The military is not going to get paid, right?
Correct.
Certain benefits you're going to lose. SNAP benefits. This.
Yeah, but you know what? Those who are off the Obama roll, they're going to receive increases of up to almost $800 additional per month, and it impacts a lot more red states than it impacts blue states. If we want to get it down, if we want to break it down, such as that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very fair point, right? So we have to really work on those things. What did Stargirl said? He's a sick man. May God help him in to repent from his evil, wicked ways. I think he believes that God sent him. So I have a question for you, Stargirl. You were just celebrating something recently. What were you celebrating, Stargirl? You know, I just want to know, Stargirl. You want to text us and tell us what you're celebrating? By the way,
Stargirl. I guess she'll say it soon. But in terms of this shutdown itself, and I mean, there have been a couple past ones. On average, I think the longest shutdown was about 35 days on average. So usually the shutdowns them don't necessarily last more than the month, or a little bit, few days over. But who knows? There's no clear path. I do think that this one is probably going to open back soon. Either they might open back and say, you know what, we're gonna try and come to like a negotiation for now, and then as John had mentioned, 6 weeks later they're back to it. So
I mean that they've done a little bit an extension to open back up the government, but the shutdown still loomed over their heads. Real quick, I know we're expecting our guests on in a little bit. I don't see her here yet, so we could talk about what was it? Oh, you're moving, Stargirl? You're moving. I know you said another state, so I guess you don't want to say which state you're moving to, but congratulations nonetheless. You're moving away from me, man. What does your husband have to say about it? You know?
That's not. We don't need to talk about
No,
it
but
online.
I don't mean it like that, dude. Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure that I can talk offline.
Why? I mean, like
we gotta move to the next topic.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
She's at Medgar. You know, I hope. Are you planning on staying at Medgar? You know, she's one of our Medgar Everett's people, John. Quick question. So,
what do you think about Jimmy Kimmel? That's the question.
No, it wasn't, but I'll go with that. Which one, that he's coming to Brooklyn, or is it?
No, just the whole situation centered around him. I believe that even in that whole scuffle and all, I think Trump has even talked about not having thick skin. This is something. But, you know, Jimmy really highlight how the free speech, depending on what you say and who's controlling the media, you know, you may not be able to, I guess, feel that sense of free speech. Is there really is there really such a thing as free speech?
Hey, John, you see my brown bag? See it? See it?
We got lunch?
What we doing? What we doing? The question.
I'm just saying, you see my brown bag?
Oh my gosh.
Let's move.
It's a black bag, not a brown bag.
I think you question the hypocrisy of America, right? That's what it questions, right? It punches a monkey wrench, right, into the hypocrisy of America. Free speech is not free speech, right? You talk about Kirk, that's not free speech. But it's also cancel culture, right? In one breath, you say don't cancel the culture until you're talking about me.
That's true.
Right? And once you start talking about me in a way that I don't like, I need to cancel you.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what we saw.
You know what? You know what? The Republicans, they like to dish it, but they can't take it.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I like what Gavin Newsom has been doing, trolling a lot of these Republicans, especially some Fox, some Fox announcers, and you know the president, Pete Hetz's staff. You know, he's really letting them know they feel that, you know, that they can do whatever they want to do. They can ridicule you, call you names, but you can't do the same with respect to them. They can demean you, but you can't demean them. And this administration only understands strength, pushback and strength. That's why if they're going to do this government shutdown, they just got to stay the course with respect to this. So Trump can learn to respect them, meaning that I can't pick one. I can't pick y'all off. You guys are a unit. You're sticking together. Okay, I have to deal with you now.
Yeah.
But up until that, he's not going. He's going to treat them the way he's always been treating them, very dismissively.
Just a side note, guess is here.
It's almost as if, you know, you're making sure that they understand that you're not important. You know, he just got a $90 million defamation. He just won a $90 million defamation case as well. Quickly, just quick and fast. I always have a problem pronouncing his last name, but the secretary, the National Security Advisor, Secretary Hegseth removed certain woke words from the military. I just sent you a clip We talk about the fat general or the fat admiral. In some ways, I agree, right? In some ways, I agree with it. All right. I agree that
Right.
not everything on the tape. I didn't hear the whole tape, but I'm saying, but at the same time, we need to be careful.
You mean Peter Hegseth, who's the defense secretary?
Defense secretary, yes.
Yeah.
I said security advisor. Yeah, the
Yeah.
defense secretary.
Mm.
Right. We have to be careful. It's kind of go back to the Jimmy Kimmel conversation, right? Where you're going to pick and choose, right? You're going to pick and choose who you're going to censor.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that. Right. So, and again, if the woke and say that woke means we need to have a better president, would Donald Trump want you still in office?
Mm-hmm.
Because that means now you're not woke anymore. You're free to speak about the president of the United States. But now you're not woke because you can't talk against the country.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to be careful about what we're asking for. So the big topic in New York is about Eric Adams dropping out. That's in New York City. As a matter of fact, he's gotten national and international push.
Hey, Trevor, what's going on, my friend Trevor?
Right. Got international what is it called? Media sensation.
Yep.
2 black mayors in the history of the United States.
Not history of the United States. We're talking about history of New York City.
You didn't hear me finish. I said in New York, the history of the United States. Well, in New York's history, New York City history. Let me put it that way. Mayor David Dinkins and Mayor Eric Adams, both will be serving as one-term mayors. All the craziness of Bill de Blasio, and it showed that it was crazy because he didn't even make it out of the box for his national run for president. He didn't even make it. Like, I didn't even think he made a ballot, right, in any state. So you know the messed up thing he did for New York. Look at this. Look at the craziness of Giuliani, who's probably about to spend some jail time himself. Right, he has to do a lot of fighting to stay afloat. He has to pay off all of these things, but he got 2 terms. Ed Koch got a bridge named after him, but 2 strong mayors, black, just got 1 term. Tonight's guest, Dr. Selma Bartholomew, wants to make a difference. So we want to hear from her and see what she got. Let's see how what she plans to do to make a difference and make a great dent in November. Andre, you want to bring her on?
All right. Thumbs up. You ready, Dr. Bartholomew? Okay. She ready. Here we go.
All right. Dr. Bartholomew, how are you?
Oh, good evening, Brother Daly. Good evening to your guests. I am well. Look at that. Joy shows up in the struggle. I'm so excited to have this opportunity with you and your audience. Thank you.
Not a problem. Do you have like a little front light?
Let's see if I can try that. I was out campaigning all day, and then
That's all right.
Okay, let's see. That's a little bit better.
A smidge, but you just moved it.
How's
There
that?
you go. A little bit better.
Yes.
A lot better, actually. How are you doing?
I am well. I am excited to say that I am determined to become the first woman mayor for New York City. And also, yes, New York is part of the American story. We have had 110 men over 400 years, and we have had 108 white men as mayors of the city of New York. We have never had a woman, and we've only had 2 men of color. And so I am excited to have this opportunity to say to New Yorkers, you have a choice. You don't have to hold your nose and go and vote for somebody who gave us a pandemic. You can definitely go and write my name in. I'm Selma K. Bartholomew. I was on the ballot in June, so I think people need to know that. And as we talk today about my bold vision for New York City, people are saying to me, Dr. B, I don't know you, I haven't seen you, but I got on the ballot with almost 5,000 signatures from the people of Harlem and Brooklyn and the Bronx who wanted a different candidate, someone who was not tied to the Democratic Party, but someone who was a Democrat and who cares for the city. And the shameful secret, Brother Daly, and greetings to your co-host, is that in New York City, in order for me to take the debate stage, they demanded that I spend $2.5 million.
What do you mean by spend? You mean like spend of your own money, spend of campaign money, spend of matching funds? Explain spend 2.5 million.
Well, first in New York City, people think that you get matching funds. As a mayoral candidate, you do not get matching funds until you raise $250,000. When you raise $250,000, then you begin to get matching funds. And so when you have your campaign budget from the matching funds, you must spend money in order to debate. So you must spend $2.5 million. And what you're spending it on, people often ask, well, I guess it's certainly if you're doing advertisements and things like that. But the mathematician in me always wondered, well, suppose I made 2.5 plus $1, right? What does that mean in terms of a mindset? And this is how we have been locked out of government. This is how our candidates and this pay for play culture, and this is how the wealthy has ensured that candidates and people we are electing are really not for the people. So it's really a selection. They have used their policy and their money to select who will go forward. And so I refuse to be silenced. My first name is Selma. I grew up in Harlem, born in Grenada, and the Bronx mom, Brooklyn's sister, and I'm a fighter. And I'm continuing as a write-in candidate. I'm an official write-in candidate as a Democrat. And so you must write my name in on the ballot, Selma K. Bartholomew.
All right. Awesome. I know we have a whole bunch of questions for you, but I think the first question, you did a little bit of the introduction, but start with the end question first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Start with the end question first. What has your journey been like going across, traversing the city to talk about your campaign? What is the reception like? Meeting individuals. What is that like? And I'm glad to know that I have a Caribbean sister. Thank you.
It has been heartwarming. It has been inspiring. And as I meet everyday New Yorkers from all parts of the city, I've traversed every borough. And what I'm finding is that when people meet me, their face light up and they say, oh my gosh, we didn't know. And we're so excited to support you because people want change. We are in what I describe as a very unhealthy ecosystem in this city right now. Our streets are dirty. We have this proliferation of weed and marijuana, which is just killing our children, and it's everywhere. And people say kind of things like, oh, well, Dr. B, it's illegal, but they don't know what to do about it when they see it so much, right, so prevalent in our community.
So, just not to cut you off, but let's just get straight to the point. What would you do differently? What are your solutions, or how would you resolve some of these issues?
Well, first, what I'm going after is a healthier ecosystem, right? So you recognize that what's not working when your businesses and your family values and things. So I want to build an ecosystem. And the first part of building a healthy ecosystem, I want to first go after building small businesses. After COVID, businesses were decimated, and Black businesses in particular, more than 80% of Black businesses were decimated. And in New York City, for
So
every
what we propose to build,
yeah,
what we propose to build that business.
I
What
think
do you think? And, you know, I don't mean to cut you off.
All
I
right,
just,
John,
I want,
John,
I want, I,
wait. I think your reception is bad. Go ahead, Dr.
yes.
Bartholomew.
So I'm giving you a context first so people understand why what I'm giving you is important. In New York City, for decades, for every dollar, Black businesses make less than half a penny. Black women, Black men make less than half a penny. And so in order for us to uplift our community, we have to build businesses. So one of the major parts of my campaign and my platform is to build business hubs, eco hubs across the city, not just one, but really pulling together by zip code. And in this eco hub, bring in the entrepreneurs, bring in even current businesses who may not have ever gotten the skills and the training and the support to even understand the nature of what kind of business to design, right? Do you need an LLC? Do you need an S Corp? And in these business hubs, as Black businesses and also businesses, women businesses, we often do not get venture capital dollars. And so as mayor of the city of New York, I want to bring in the VCs in that space. When the VC gives you matching $500,000, I'm going to match it as the city of New York. And that's going to really uplift people and uplift community. Some people might say to me, Brother Daly, you can't do that. And what I want to say to you is I'm a mathematician and I look at models. New York State has been giving venture capitals and business owners matching VC dollars over the past few years. And no one in particular, our Black and brown communities are aware of it. And this has been happening across the country. And so we have to build businesses in order to have a healthy ecosystem. Why this matters to me also as I look around our city, we have almost 300,000 people impacted by the criminal justice system that cannot get work. Why? They don't have a resume, they don't have those skill sets. So in this business hub, maybe they are the entrepreneur, right? A lot of them have master's degrees, higher education qualifications, and cannot get work in our community. So we need to create opportunities. So they can either be the entrepreneur or they can also hire, right? The entrepreneurs can now have a pool of people to hire. We have a situation with our veterans. Our veterans are impacted by poverty and don't have opportunity in our city. And so I need to be able to create a model where we can now uplift our youth and uplift the members of us of our city. So the eco hubs are very critical in terms of creating a healthier ecosystem, where people have the opportunity for upward mobility to be able to really thrive. And I own a business. I'm in the education space. I started my company in 2008 in the middle of the recession. And New York City is not, the filthy truth is that there was no opportunity for me here as a Black-owned business. And so I flew across the country. And after COVID, when COVID happened, they closed the portal on us in the small businesses, barbershops, beauty salons. People want help. Why does this business hubs matter to me? Think about it in our communities. We have a lot of Caribbean restaurants. You see people serving jerk chicken every single where. Only one restaurant really has franchised in the Black community, which is Golden Krust, right? Why don't we have more businesses having the opportunity to come together, pull their best thinking, and get the resources that they need to franchise and to look out on the world and to be able to have that sense of that true American dream and upward mobility? And so we won't solve problems by, giving people free food. I want to be able to give people the promise of what it means to be an American, and we want upward mobility. And we've not had that as a Black community in particular. We do not get the business help and the support that we need.
All right, I want to go back to the original. I love that idea of promoting small businesses and seeing them grow, especially within the Black and brown community. Obviously, you're going to get some pushback from the non Black and Brown community, which currently owns a large number of the businesses within our community. So just hold that thought for a minute. I want to go back to Dr. Sampson's question, which is around the cannabis usage, right? Are you tying the ecosystem in with the proliferation of marijuana usage? Are you saying, how are you tying the two in together?
Well, I think that, certainly what we've seen is that it's so much of it, right? So it certainly tells me that people are hurting. And we've not necessarily, we were not honest about the fact. I work with New York City for decades. I'm in your schools, I'm in your communities. Our students and our young people was already readily buying marijuana from a lot of the bodegas, and in our communities. And even though it wasn't legal, right? But we said that it was legal, but there wasn't any campaign to engage young people, to engage anyone around the health issues. Black and brown people, we are most likely to have heart disease. It leads to low birth weight, right? And so we see it everywhere. And so we now have to give people some options. That's the first thing, right? And education to be able to say to you, this is the impact on our communities, and this is what we want, something else. So like I'm out in the streets with our communities almost every day. Walk the streets of Harlem, walk the Bronx, and you just see a collection of young men as well as women just hanging out smoking. And I grew up in Harlem, where we fought crack, and crack decimated our Black and brown communities. And for us to be silent about the fact that this is really decimating our future and our children, and we need to give them options, and we need to be able to create opportunity for young people and for anyone, for all people. I'm disappointed. So in the education space, we told children that they couldn't bring their devices to school, but they can bring weed. They can bring weed, and they're sitting outside. If anyone does not know, take a look in our communities right now. If you go to any subway, there are what we call weed buses. There are buses that are near the train station in front of your school building. So principals have, weed buses in front of their place of work. And students leave the building and they go and they smoke, and it's dark windows. I'm particularly concerned about both my girls and my boys. So if you're a young lady and you end up on one of these buses with 3 or 4 men, what's happening is that they're engaging in a lot of sexual activity, and now they're being videotaped, and our Black girls are missing. And in the context of our Black boys, we said, okay, we don't want to criminalize you around this issue of weed, right? But look at what we just traded. We don't want to criminalize you, but if you're a young boy who could now engage in a sexual activity with an underage child and it's videotaped, now you got a rape charge. So which one is it? So we as adults now, we have to be the adults for our children, and we have to be the adults for our community. And we have to say what our values are if we think that we're going to make it to the next 100 years. And we have to now love our children enough to now offer them opportunity. And when we look across the city, yes, so I want to do the business hubs. I want to break the model of high schools. Our high schools are not working. And our children need mentoring, they need coaching, they need to be out in the community gardens, they need the hands-on. And so I don't want to just say, okay, we're addressing the culture of drugs and violence. We have to now give our young people something to much more inspire them and to let them know that the world needs work. Look out on the world, and what is your purpose? What is your passion? What are you going to do to really make a difference in this world?
Your background is in education.
It is.
I was reviewing, I went through your website. By the way, can you remind us what the website is?
It's drselmab.com, DRSELMAB as in boy.com. And you can go to my website to learn how to support and to learn more about my campaign. And you'll also find my link tree where I have several interviews and other, resources to learn more about my work.
All right. For those of you who want to get in and give her, we are live. I'm actually trying to pull up my you can give us a call, give a call, talk about, ask her questions. You can call us at 347. Andrea's better at this than I am, but I think it's on the screen. 347.
347-746-6598. 347-746-6598.
Right.
And it's on Instagram at RodFDaily_the_village.
Right. You know what? It's better if they want to call, they do the call-in number. I'm getting ready to pull it up on my end.
347-746-6598 is the calling.
All right. Awesome. If you have any questions for the doctor, please do call in. Your background is education. I'm going to leave the public safety question to John, right? To Dr. Sampson. Tell us, how do you see as mayor you can work towards fixing the public-private school, charter school, and how do you neutralize it to create some level of equity for children who are not performing at the levels that they should?
So yeah, I am Dr. Selma Bartholomew. My PhD is from Fordham University in Leadership and Policy. I hold 2 master's degrees from Adelphi and Fordham, a bachelor's in math and physics, and an ABD in pure mathematics. I have always been in some form of my life in a classroom, and I own an education company where people bring me into their districts and into their schools and into their communities to uplift them. So for example, when Yonkers was a district that was struggling, New York State tapped me and said, can you go into Yonkers? And I spent a year plus in Yonkers with my team. And how I do this work, it's really also about relationships, right? Like looking closely at the nature of what are you seeking to engender in your classrooms. I've also done work in places like North Dakota, even though they don't look like me. They wanted to know what the jobs of the future would look like. So as I look at New York City, and as I look at, for example, in particular, education in this country, in the National Assessment of Educational Progress is a really solid indicator of how we are doing. In 1978, when we look at the data around Black children, and we look statistically of how they're performing, middle schoolers, they were at 13%. 4 decades later, they've only gained 1 percentage point. White children were around 86%, and they have plummeted, and they are below 40% in terms of change. So it says that what I refer to this is the social reproduction of failure. How is it that for generations, you get Black and brown and working class kids to only want working class jobs? New York City, as mayor of the city of New York, I am concerned about schooling. What is the prepared graduate? Our students must now compete with artificial intelligence, and must be able to have the skill sets and also the motivation, right? The motivation to want to compete and to want to be able to see that they can make a difference in the world. So it has to now have certainly better relationships. I think especially in our school environment, there's a lot of bullying, where administrators bully principals then bully teachers, and then teachers then have a hard time with relationships with students. We also have to do the mathematics and the STEM in a different way. My work is around teaching children math and STEM around the fact that mathematics is a language. And if it's a language, it is particularly something that is empowering to Black and brown children, because look, you gave the world rap because you like to play with words. And so this idea of really understanding your strengths. I want to change the high school model, as I mentioned. Our high schools are not working. Kids graduate barely taking chemistry, not knowing even how to make soap. They have to now have the skill sets, and your teachers want this. They themselves want to learn some new skills. And so when I talked about the business hubs and doing business hubs across the city, we need to create opportunities where every child in high school is connected to a mentor, connected to a coach, connected to some work experiences, connected to getting feedback as well, right? Because if you don't get feedback, you don't know where it is that you're moving forward today. We have to do better for our special education students as well. New York City in particular, in the 80s with the standards movement, they tossed out the automotive, they tossed out all of these things. I had the pleasure of working with a school, several of my schools, I've taken them from failure to success across the city. And for example, Grady Technical High School in Brooklyn, when we went in there, their graduation rate was less than a 40%. They passed their regents and they're now above an 80, and they have a $2 million plus kitchen as a result of our work. They went from cooking on hot plates to cooking in a $2 million kitchen. So I'm a visionary. I want to say that to New Yorkers. What I have found is that people would rather follow failure. They'll rather tell you to take a failing governor, which is operating on privilege, right? And not show that you can have a highly educated woman who cares about your children and who's bringing a vision. I'm bringing a bold vision. It's time that we looked up on the world and say that we can make some billionaires in New York City. Tell our children that there are 1 billion people in China. Make something to sell to them. Make something to sell to them. Stop being complacent. Stop acting like everything is okay. Sometimes people give book bag days. They give our children book bags. If it doesn't say Nike, they toss it on the floor. So we have to now help them to understand the importance of education, and that we have, right, something that they want to be able to feel good about themselves and confident about. So I am your education mayor, but I'm also the mayor that is a specialist, not only in AI, but in OI, opportunity intelligence. It's opportunity that has been denied to so many people across the city. I refer to it as revenue apartheid for our children and for our families. And it's time that we can now uplift education. Public, charter, I've worked with all. And I've worked with all schools, Islamic schools, private schools, and it's about schooling. You need to understand schooling. What does it mean to be a prepared graduate, graduate? And it's clear that it's not working for any parent. How do I know? Look at the graduation rates of your community colleges. How can you say that I spent 13 years in the school system and I go to a community college and the graduation rate is barely 15%, 30% over 4 to 6 years? That says that I was not prepared, and it's time that we own it, and it's time that we did something transformational in this city, and I am the mayor for that.
So I want to I want to stay on topic for a minute. I'm hogging some of the time.
I thank you.
Well, John's strength is a little bit different from mine, as he was a former elected official. So, but education is my strength. So, I want to talk about funding priorities, right? Yes. And partnership building. So I want you to combine both of those conversations to talk about how do you plan to talk about your funding priorities and your partnership building. And I'm going to turn over to John to take away with the questions on public safety and housing, right? So, and any other education piece that you feel like I need to put into there.
Well, in the education pieces, and then I'll talk about the funding piece. I want to give our kids art and music. I want to teach 1.5 million children and youth how to swim. We have plenty of pools in our New York City system, and that's it empty. They're just not being utilized. And every summer, we pull a body out of the ocean of young children, and then we offer condolences. It's an equity issue, right? As we know that swimming in particular, given all of the history of race and racism in this country, that was something that was taken away from Black communities. So let us teach our children how to swim. It feels horrible to me when children actually wear it as a badge of honor that they say they can't swim. And so we have an opportunity to really build relationships across communities, and teaching our children also situational awareness. So as we talked about how to now counter that culture of weed and gang and drugs, you got to give them something else to really build their confidence and to make them feel sure-footed in this world. In relationship to, as we think about money, I want to say to New York City, we're not poor. We've just been poorly organized, and we have had poor leadership. Our mayor and our city council members just gave, take a note of this, $400 million to renovate Fifth Avenue, to renovate the doorsteps of Donald Trump's and the Bloombergs. In the Bronx, we just had that sad case of that building collapse, and people are telling us that we can't fix NYCHA, we can't fix our buildings, but we just gave $400 million to one community, and we have another candidate talking about free food, and he is keeping you blind. keeping you blind to the fact that New York City has a $116 billion budget. And what he's really not telling you is that we have a $169+ billion capital improvement budget, that he is the new wolf pack on the block, right? His political action committees have that money in their sights because you should own the grocery stores. You don't own commercial property. And so who's going to get the contracts to deliver the food, and who's going to put up the light bulbs, and who's going to be the one to get the contracts to clean the snow? And so what is it that we as a city need to do with that $169 billion capital improvement budget? We need to fix our parks. We need to clean up our streets. We need to be able to take care of New Yorkers in a different way. We need to create work opportunities across this city, birthing centers, the things that we have been asking for, but we have been electing candidates that have been selected by the wealthy for us. And so you have not had a mayor necessarily who's bringing a sense of just a strategic plan across this city, and a bigger vision for you. I should also say to you, New Yorkers, wait for it. In case you didn't know, we have a $10+ billion rainy fund budget. Ha! A rainy fund budget that no one knows about in New York City. I think it's a storm going on in our borough. I'm in Harlem. I live in the Bronx. We have a building in Harlem for 2 years in the Esplanade. No gas, no heat. People are suffering across the city. Staten Island does not have a public hospital. These taxes that they are putting on us, we put a congestion price taxing on us, and none of our Democratic officials complained about it, but we have a congestion problem in the Bronx. Lincoln Hospital sees 25,000 patients a week, and that is what the city has been left to, just really not being cared for. And that is why we have an unhealthy ecosystem. So we don't have an issue by way of money. I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk about the housing issue, but yeah, we're not poor. We've been poorly organized, and we have had poor leadership.
Thank you. I'm going to pause for a moment to give John a couple of opportunities to ask some questions, and then we can come back.
I mean, one of the key things has always been the issue of public safety. Yes. And community police relations. We have, one candidate running for mayor. At one point in time, we talked about defunding the police, but now changed his tune. You have another candidate for mayor, and he talks about, hiring new police officers and community relations. What would you do to let the community know that their safety and law enforcement is important, and then juxtapose that against the community's concern about the abusive tactics that sometimes the police engage into? No. And, the issue of having mental health workers deal with some of these issues instead of police or law enforcement.
Okay, absolutely. And so I am, like I said, I grew up in Harlem. I live in the Bronx. I've done a lot of work in my media community around building our block and community association. So I see the best, and I see also where the challenges are. The first thing is that you've got to go after culture, and you also have to give people some new skill sets and some new tools. So I'd like to go after what I call stewardship block by block. We used to have individuals who were block captains, and so people step up, they say, I care about my community, I want to be a block or whatever. But we've never really invested in training those individuals and giving those individuals the tools that they need. So first, identifying block captains, building captains, bringing in the business owners who's going to train them. Let's bring the youth to the table as well in that space, and let's bring our police officers also in that space and give them both the conflict resolution skills training that they need and also the meeting skills that they need. What I have found as I have, just in terms of my work as Dr. Bartholomew, and also as I've been spending time across the city, what we are seeing, what I found is that it's the same meeting happening over and over again. It's just the actors change. People complain about some of the same issues, the cars, the quality of life issues, but it doesn't go anywhere necessarily, right? Some people might take notes, they might write it down, but every meeting just keeps the same, right? The same tone. So we need to be able to assess what is in our community and to now give people those tools. I'd like to do a quality of life index tool. It has not been done in New York. Zip code by zip code. What is in your zip code? Where's the doulas? Where's the parks? Where's the, how many, daycare centers that we have, so we can have a better assessment. And how leaders transform communities is once you have a current state, then you can now align your funding to that vision. In terms of also safety, what I have found as well this summer, I've gone to so many funerals of young people impacted by gun violence in this city. And our neighborhood community officers was a key structure bridging the relationship between the community and the police. In our current administration, they have broken that model of the NCOs. And so they have what they call QT teams that nobody knows who they are. They don't have relationships with the community. In that model of the NCOs, that would be something to invest in because they had only given them one shift. And I know that because in my block association, if we need a car move or whatever, thank goodness we're active. And so I would have the number. But you need to be able to now think about the neighborhood community officer and how to better train them and how to better bridge them. I'm also particularly concerned about the domestic violence cases in the city. The numbers are off the chart. And it's a question about policy and how we write up a DV incident, as well as what's happening. Like people don't just, when we think about the family, right, we need to now put networks of care. I'd like to do a domestic violence liaison team. And what that looks like is, for example, so Brother Daly, he's wearing a red shirt. So suppose now a DV violence team shows up when we get a DV call and they're in a red shirt and we agree, whatever the color is. I need them to be in a different color because in our community, we do have a broken relationship with police officers. So if you see a police officer arresting somebody and now you see the DV color, you're willing to kind of step back a minute and say, hey, this is something that we now need to maybe offer some extra support to that family, or let's just give them a moment, right, as they're dealing with the issue. The reason why we need a DV liaison team also is that people don't realize that that now becomes a crime scene. And when, we don't want any loss of life, but the family, if something does happen, the families become a victim. Who goes to the hospital? If it's a crime scene, you cannot enter that scene to get clothes. You can't enter to be able to find your papers if you have children, right? So we need now to really go after the issues that are, what I'm calling salt of the earth things to really begin to rebuild our village and our community. The DV team is also important to me because it's impacting. It feels like if we've kind of like, it's both women and men, right? Somebody get angry at you if you're a woman and they know that, I'm going to call the police on you, right? Mm-hmm. So when they come, somebody got to go to jail. And so there's no kind of quieting. There's no one there to kind of bridge that relationship.
Diffuse, de-escalate.
Exactly. And so this really fuels this pipeline, right? This pipeline of this school to prison, this pipeline of really criminalizing us. And we need now to be able to connect individuals through this DV piece to services. We have faith-based institutions, and we have not funded them in our city. I'm also very much concerned as we think about the culture within our city around our homeless and mentally ill. I'd like to do something. I am a strategic thinker. I'm Dr. Bartholomew. What I'm bringing to the mayor's race is that level of thinking. I look across the country, I look across the world, and I say, let me find what's working. New York City does not do a good job of that. What you need to do is you find something, you figure out what has worked, you try it, right? And you scale. I'd like to do shower buses across New York City, and I'm calling them a shower bus. How do I know that the model works? Well, Brooklyn Community Services is one of the oldest nonprofits in the city, and they tested it out. And they said, okay, a dignity and care bus, because when we think homeless, we only have one mind. We have to now level people and say that there are different profiles of an individual, right? If somebody has an argument with their parent and the mom or dad says, I want you out, you might be on the street for a couple of days. Let's catch you early. Let's catch you early. So let's have a shower bus. So now I can connect services across the community. The only challenge with the bus was that they needed hot water. Come on now. If Elon Musk can put gas turbines across the city so he can have, all of this AI tool, we can figure this out. This is not that hard. Why do I need it also? As I talk to people in NYCHA, people are using the hallways to defecate, to live.
That's interesting. And you call that a what? What's it called?
A shower bus. I'm calling it a shower bus.
A shower bus.
Put them across the city. Go to 149th Street and 3rd Avenue right now. You just see this place where people are just left out. They're left out in our bus stops. They're left out, and there's nobody extending a hand to have a relationship. What I'm saying to New Yorkers,
I have funding for one, John, in the district that I represent. I do have funding for one from Congresswoman Yvette Clarke within our district, and there's a second one that's for district usage. But I understand our late housing chair wrote the grant for us to get a shower bus. So I do understand the need for the shower bus. That it's about a dignity. All right, the shower bus is about creating dignity for low-income New Yorkers or New Yorkers in need of crisis help at that moment. Right, they might not be low income or homeless, but at that moment they're in a crisis and they need support.
And it's an outreach. You cannot. I have a candidate right now. He's talking about he wants to put the homeless on a boat, on a cruise ship out in the water. Hernan, so that like it doesn't make sense. Like that's such a lack of compassion. We have to be able to build relationships, and we also have to be able to bridge and to be able to identify with individuals. So as the mayor of the city of New York, right, it's bringing in a talented team, but also bringing in ideas that are working. And so something like this, we have to now say, if you're at a level 1, to just get it started versus a level 4, that's something of a different strategy. And so to begin to now create a strategic plan, New York City, we have a lot of programs and projects, what I call people who rely on just enough cash to survive. Projects, but nothing that's tightly aligned, nothing where you can look across and say, does this work and why it works? Mayor Dinkins used to do a great job of that. He used to publish his indicators on a regular basis and to be able to communicate what his administration is accomplishing. But we have to be able to now say what's working, what's not working, and who I am also as a strategic thinker and a problem solver, and also as an entrepreneur, right? It's okay to fail at something. And it's okay.
I like what you're talking about. Providing the dignity for the homeless and giving an opportunity, that's the shower. But, my biggest thing would be, how are we going to pay for this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've already said to you, we're not poor, but we also have several funding streams, right? So when you look at money in the city, you can certainly look at.
So which funding streams are we going to be taking from?
Well, I think first of all, when you look at your overall expense budget, right? I don't need to spend $1 million to fix a staircase in the city of New York. We have had a level of corruption in this city where the contracts and the dollars have been going to wealthy white men, and not necessarily looking holistically at budgets and saying what is it that we need to be able to fund as a priority. So we've got our capital improvement budget. We have our rainy fund budget that we need now to be honest about, that we need to now if you can't take the stress off, then people will just keep feeling this. And so I want to be able
So
to
what happens? So what happens when we have what happens when we have situations like the migrants, where we're promised X number of dollars from the federal government, and it doesn't come through? We didn't have to invade that rainy day fund to support that, but then what about the programs and other things that will be impacted? So my question to you is, we need reoccurring revenue streams.
absolutely.
So what would be our reoccurring revenue streams?
Well, first of all, the migrant crisis is a whole other, that's a little bit of a different in terms of, right, how monies were spent and where money went in the city of New York. We also have our comptroller. I'm not going to touch your pension, but we get a profit when our comptrollers, right, are able to invest and to take that money as well. So we have funding streams in the city. It's just that the money has not been aligned in order to meet the needs of the people and to address the challenges.
So what, let me cut you off. You said we have funding streams. So what are these funding streams, and how do we get access to these funding streams in order to do what you're talking about?
Well, in your expense, first of all, in your expense budget, in the New York City expense budget, you're able to align money. You give funding to all of these different agencies, whether it's New York City DOE, Department of Youth and Community.
So we're going to cut. So we're going to cut some of that money that goes to these agencies. Then
I'm not cutting. I'm not cutting money. I'm saying to you, let's look closely at our budget and let's look at where there are opportunities to be more cost effective and to also direct the funding to individuals. So
you're saying we're going to cut the fat,
but I also can cut the corruption. I'm a business in New York City DOE. New York City gave one of Bloomberg's companies $34 million.
Dr. Sullivan, hold on one second. And John.
Yeah.
So I want to use a nice, beautiful word to shut John up, Mr. Politician over there.
He's not being a politician, Roger. I'm just asking a question.
I'm messing with you. But I think what you're trying to say is that for lack of better word, trim the fat, right?
Yes.
Like, so you're not going to spend $1 million for a chair for a staircase when the staircase really costs
$10,000.
So you're going to cut the fat.
I wouldn't say. Wait, I wouldn't say.
How are you going to cut? Hold on. We say cut the corruption and cut the fat. So you basically, how are you going to? So you're going to be doing audits on all of this stuff, right? What's reasonable? You get the bids or whatever it is. Oh, you're spending too much. I'm not going to give you all that money. You know what? I'm not. If you're saying you need $10 million for capital constructions, I'm saying I think you could do it for $5 million. So you know what? You're not getting the $10 million. You're going to get $5 million. So you're going to cut.
I'm not cutting, I'm redirecting resources to be able
So where are you going? Okay, you're going to redirect the resources, but you're going to cut from.
What I'm saying to you is what New York City has not done well. We do have a budget. We have clear budget items. But what we have not done well is look closely at our budget and align our budget to our priorities. And we have a level of corruption in this city of New York where we know fully well that budgets, balloon contracts are going to individuals not doing the work. I was just in a building the other day in NYCHA. I walked the building with the tenants. They said, "Oh, wow, Dr. B, hold on, don't hold on to the rail. The building, we just got it just painted." No, it wasn't. There's paint. It's dirty. It smells like paint. But what is it that just happened? Where's the accountability? And so there's a culture in New York City that I'm coming in to address. And I think what I'm addressing is first this leadership piece and to begin to really look at the budget and make some clear decisions about what we are funding and our priorities. And yes, that's kind of like the traditional people just say cut the fat or whatever. That's not the kind of leader who I am, and that's not the team that I'm bringing in place. Looking at your numbers and making clear financial decisions and making it and to think mathematically to learn. We don't think mathematically about what we need to learn from our budgets and what's working. And New York City.
What I'm saying is, okay. All right, go ahead now.
Do you think that they have a culture of corruption? I think New York City has a culture of corruption.
Doc, just put it this way. There's an inflation, corruption in the budget from every government the waste, fraud, and abuse that goes on, yes. And you have to, in Albany, we had a certain agency that went after fraud, waste, and abuse, especially in the healthcare industry. So that means they had to curtail certain monies that went to healthcare institutions and to look and to audit these things. But what you're saying is there's a level of corruption, then how are you going to go? You're going to have to look at the books. And when you look at the books, you're going to ask, okay, where's the accountability? So I'm not, and these are these agencies now. Like, I'm not going to give you in the budget, I'm not going to give you all the X number of dollars because I believe there's a number of fraud, waste, and abuse that's there. So you need to claw back some of this. You need to look at it, claw back it. So instead of me giving $100 million to the agencies, no, I'm only going to give you $50 million or whatever it is. And you need to claw back the rest from what I think is fraud, waste, and abuse.
If that's the
Oh,
case,
wait,
I'm
wait,
not saying that that is the
wait,
case. You
Dr.
might still
Bartholomew,
get
give me 1
200
second.
million. But
Dr.
I'm saying,
Bartholomew,
go ahead.
give me 1 second. So I think of it like charter schools, right? I hear what Dr. Bartholomew is hearing, John. And I also hear what you're saying, Dr. Sampson, and I hear what you're saying, Dr. Bartholomew. I hear both of you, but we're going to run out of time and we're going to get caught up on this one topic. So I want to elucidate a little bit. I think of charter schools, right? Charter schools and public schools. Charter schools get to say, I have an enrollment of 600, right? But if they come in with an enrollment of 500, right? They get the budget of 600, not of 500. But if a public school comes in and say we're expected to get 600 and they only have an enrollment of 500, they don't get the extra money for the 100. They're kind of stuck, right? And so they actually get less than the 500. So it's not exactly cut in. I don't think that's the right word, right? But it's kind of like fair money for fair students. So fair money for fair work. I think it's probably, and in a way, what John is also saying is, if I gave you 200 million and now I'm giving you 180, I made a $20 million cut. You're saying, show me that you need 200 million.
Exactly.
Right? It's not that I'm not going to give you 200. It's show me that you need it. Right?
You might need 220. You might need 220.
Right? So I think it's a conversation around both concept, and I think it's kind of like you're both right. Right? You're both right. Right? You are cut in, but you also have shown that extra 20 million, you kind of find ways to use that 20 million, which normally doesn't go to the job that you said you were going to do anyway.
And let me give you a perfect example of this. New York State just said to parents who were concerned about devices, and they said, oh my God, we're going to take the cell phones out of your kid's hand. What they didn't tell you is that they just gave $17 million to buy bags for cell phones. So you asked for help with your children, and they took a budget line and said, we're going to spend $17 million for bags, rather than $17 million for art, for music, for Double Dutch, for things that kids need, right? So you just gave $17 million, literally. Go buy yourself some brown paper bags. I have principals who got master's and doctorate degrees. They don't need to be worrying about kids putting cell phones in a bag. They need to be worried about how is it that I am now enriching and empowering our kids with art and music and with the things that matter. So that's what I'm talking about. Why did we just spend 17 or $20 million for bags that you can put? So a company lobbied our governor and our leaders so that they can get $17 million of our money to buy bags. And I'm saying to you in New York City, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to focus
I disagree with you there.
Yeah.
I disagree with you.
I'm not telling you that you don't need to get rid of the cell phones, but I don't need to spend $20 million on a cell phone.
I think that would be a system where I would say I totally disagree with you. because the cell phone
Not
is
about the cell phone.
Wait, hold on. Wait 1 second. The cell phone is a hazard to school, and bullying, it continues the bullying. It affects class time, and in almost 0% of emergencies, no parents need to contact a student in the classroom to tell them that I'm downstairs waiting for you.
Oh, yeah, like what we used to do before cell phones.
Right.
Go to school.
Wait, hold on, Dr. Bartholomew. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm very political. I'm more, even though John was the former elected, I'm even more political than John, right? The thing is a long-term solution for an immediate problem. So to me, for one, I would say provide schools with lockers, right? With combination locks in the locker, that after every few years you put in the budget that they revamp the locker piece by piece, right? So kids can put their bags and their phones, turn them off, put them in the locker. If you come without a phone to the classroom, now that creates a better, because now.
Well, Roderick, you know what, my daughter, what they do with their cell phones, as soon as the students come in, they have a tray. There's a cart, and on the cart you can stick yourself. Your name is on your space, is labeled on this cart, and you drop your cell phone in the cart. There's like 4 or 5 rows. You drop your cell phone, and then the students come in, they take all those cell phones and put it in the dean's office.
Yeah,
and
school too.
At the end of the day, yeah.
I know you're concerned about cell phones, but this is how you socially reproduce failure. You can trade $1 trillion a day with your cell phone, New Yorkers. Teach your children how to take the cell phone apart. Help them to understand the power of what they have in their hands. And yes, they need the discipline to not be on the phones and the bullying, right? But you didn't spend $17 million to address bullying in your classroom. You didn't spend $17 million to get the deep-rooted issues. You bought bags. Your children are not being educated and not being motivated. Those kids in China, you know what they're doing? They're coding on their phones. They walk off out of school. They can code. They can take the phone apart. They understand the chemistry of it. We're going after low expectations. And I'm not telling you it's not a distraction. I don't want to get into that discussion about whether or not a cell phone gives you vices. We got plenty of vices, but you have to now deal with it. But as we were talking about in terms of budgeting and making decisions about what to spend for, your middle school and your high school students, the reason why they're on their phones is that your playgrounds were not designed for high school kids. Take a look at our young boys and our young girls, 18, 19. They don't want to play on swings and things like that. Our city has not been really designed to really think about the future and think about our children. And that's where I'm taking you. A bolder vision for New York, a bigger vision around what is it that we fundamentally need to empower our children and to get you to compete, You are not competing right now. You are not getting the AI jobs. Your children are not graduating, and they're not the ones who's going about designing and being leaders in this STEM and tech industry. We're not making it. We got to now look at bigger things.
I got to cut you because we literally have 2 minutes left. Time flies when you're having fun.
You didn't even get your callers in. Thank you so much. I hope that's
fine. They got some information in, so that's fine. One of the things I did tell you before, that is live and it's fluid. So if you bring up a topic that's I got to tell you missed an opportunity to address bullying in school and the phone use, but I understand that you wanted to stick on the idea of budgeting, but we don't have time to do it now.
Let me say to you, I'm an educator of educators. I take schools from failing to success. I know how you have to address bullying in schools, but you have to address it in a way in which relationships, you have to address it in terms of that context of giving kids feedback. You have to give them something else. And all I'm saying to you is we now have to do the work with students, right? And so I know that devices give you vices, young people, and to our parents. I am very much aware of that. And I want to address that, the deep rooted issues around why those devices give you vices, right? Not just take something out of your hand and then when you go home at 3 o'clock, you're now going to spend hours on it. Deal with the issue. Give me the confidence that I need to sleep.
I want to, and I don't want to respond. I'm just going to make a commentary. I was in Japan. I came back 1 week ago, Tuesday.
Mhm.
The kids in Japan are far more disciplined
Mhm.
than American kids.
Yes.
So the teacher and the respect of teachers and education is far greater in Japan than in the United States. In the United States, parents blame teachers
Mhm.
for the failures of their children. And I'm making a general statement, right? Not an overall statement, right? And so I'm not saying that every parent does, and every parent in Japan does not blame some teachers, right? That's not the point of what I'm saying. We, however, have a tendency that we put the bulk of the blame on the school system and not the parenting, right? I was drinking a friend of mine opened up his ice cream container, like he bought an ice cream bar, and he opened it up in the 7-Eleven, and the cashier yelled at him because there's no eating and drinking on the streets of Japan. You need to take your trash home and go eat at home. Imagine
Discipline. I mean, it starts community, starts family.
there
Our
you go.
kids, we know that there's a lack of discipline. That lack of not only
Imagine,
discipline, but a lack of respect for one another.
yep.
But you have to
Imagine
build
you
the
tell a
village. You have
person.
to build the village.
Imagine you tell that customer. Imagine somebody at 7-Eleven.
You know, we have built a village. What's interesting is, you know, we're going back to our time. You know, we had the village. You know, my next door neighbor would watch over us or making sure that we wouldn't get out of hand. But now with these new breeds of kids and parents, you can't really even talk to the child outside anymore because you'd be
Well, you have
concerned
to
about getting in a confrontation with the parents.
and
But you have
afraid
to
of
ask
getting hurt.
yourself what
Public safety.
broke the family, right? As I mentioned, crack. We have a large number of children in foster homes. And so if we think where are their parents, we now have to not realize that every parent wants to author what is best for their child. They may not have the tools in order to do it. And so it is our job to give those individuals those skills. But we have to build a village because at the end of the day, right, they belong to us and we know what it is in order to educate and to love our children.
Doc, it was great having this conversation. We got to continue it again, Roger. We're over time.
Yes, what's up?
And we definitely need to continue this.
Can I
You know what?
remind everyone
I want to
write my
compliment
name?
you. I want to compliment you, Dr. Bartholomew, for something that a lot of people don't see, and I see it from this angle. You are like real easy to talk to. You are real easy to listen to.
Thank you.
It was unfortunate that they fought against you to find ways to keep somebody as knowledgeable, as powerful, as you, as informative as you, as one of her guests stated, off the air, because they're, you have your haters, right? But this information, I'm glad that you had this forum, this opportunity. I'm loving what you're saying. I think a lot of things that you're saying.
We love the dialogue, love the discussion. We'd love to continue.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You were saying.
I want to remind everyone that yes, I am running for mayor of New York City. You will not see my name on the ballot. You must be brave and you must have faith and write my name in as Selma K. Bartholomew. Don't put the doctor because I think they won't count it. Okay, so it's Selma K. Bartholomew. And I invite you to, yes, fight with me, fight for me, fight for our children. We didn't get into the issue of affordability and the deed thefts and all of the things that are happening across our city. And you need a mayor that belongs to you. I do not have the political action committees. I belong to the people. My name is Selma. It actually means God's woman. And you've had a Selma all your life. The American dime was designed by a Black woman named Selma B. So
Thank you very much, Selma. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Roderick, take it away, Roderick.
Thank you.
Yes. I just, before I get on to my last closing statement, how do people get in touch with you real fast?
You can go to my website, drselmab.com, and click the button, get involved, and just fill out the form, and we will follow up with you. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the Village Radio Talk Show. I am your host, Roderick Daly. Joining me, our co-host, Dr. John Sampson, our executive producer, Andre Dolman, our producer, Sophia Willisey, behind the scenes, and also our guest for this evening, mayoral candidate, write-in mayoral candidate, Selma Bartholomew. Please do write her in. If you like what she's saying, do go out, support her, and look for that change that you seek, right? Be the change you seek and make the necessary changes. God bless each and every one of you. Happy birthday to everyone that we might have missed. Welcome to Libra Month. My condolence to all of those who have passed on. And I did forget Marlon Bell, who passed away last week in a tragic car accident down there in Jamaica. And to Tracy, one of our avid listeners, know that we haven't forgotten. And
Amen.
Our pessimists, we didn't miss you either. God bless. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.